All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we have part 2 of my 2024 NBA draft big board. Yesterday I did 60 to 31 prospects. Today we're doing 30 to number 1 prospects. I'm very excited to get this going with the draft in tomorrow. Actually, that's my corner. The draft is tomorrow. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Join the membership. If you want to learn more about the membership, this video on my channel explaining all of it, you can go back and watch that. Links to my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that, description down below. And don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So again, let me start it off like I did last video. These are all my personal draft board opinions, so if you have anything different, let me know down in the comments below. You think some prospects are too high, too low, what your personal prospects are, you know. Let's get it started. Starting at number 30, we have Deron Holmes II, 6'9", 236-pound big man out of Dayton. He is 21 years old. Holmes is a guy that I think since doing this draft process and stuff, I've kind of understood more of how he could fit into the NBA and stuff. And now I have him as a potential late first round pick. But scores well inside. He's got to get in the paint. He can score hook shots, do contact, stuff like that. He can score in the paint. He's also a high IQ offensive player. He's a guy that knows he can make the right pass. He knows when to attack, when to not. He just is a guy that could fit in the offense and makes the right plays there. He's also a really good shot blocker, especially, he's 6'9", 7'1" wingspan, guy that can really good at blocking shots. Not maybe amazing all around defensively, but shot blocking can do that. But the questions are, how real is the jump shot? The jump shot wasn't a thing that really came into his game until late at Dayton. So kind of just like how real is that jumper? Can he be a guy that consistently space the floor, or is he going to be more of a guy that scores in the paint, do stuff like that, and he can consistently hold his own on defense? You know, Again, he's a good shot blocker, but I don't know, maybe on the perimeter and stuff. I don't know how good of a defender he's going to be, especially if he's going to be a 4, if he can shoot the ball. So those questions there, and also thinking about if he can shoot the ball. If the jumper is not real and he's not a really good 3-point shooter, he's probably gonna have to play the 5. And if he's a 5, can he be a good enough, kind of? He scores well inside, so maybe he doesn't really need to be a lob threat. So I think he'll be fine there actually. But yeah, the jump shot is going to be a question, and defensively where does he fit? But I do think Deron Holmes is a guy that could be a kind of connecting type center or 4 on offense. A guy that again knows how to make the right play, can score well inside, and if the jump shot is real, I think that's a huge, huge plus to Holmes. But he also has that intensity that I really like. So interesting for Deron Holmes. At 29, Tyler Kolek, 6'2", 196-pound point guard out of Marquette. He is 23 years old. Veteran guy. And watching Kolek, you could definitely see he has some vet point guard tendencies. It could be kind of like that vet point guard type of role for a team. Really good playmaker. He had an amazing year at Marquette last season, playmaking, you know, everywhere, finding his guys from 3, getting to the paint, attacking and kicking out, doing all that stuff. He was really good at it. A very solid shooter as well, lefty. Very solid shooter. Good finishing as well. Very crafty finishing, knowing how to, get the angles and manipulate the defense in terms of getting to the paint and stuff. So that's why I say he has vet point guard tendencies. Is crafty, playmaking, getting to the rim, solid shooter, just really solid all around. Not bad anywhere really on the offensive end, just really solid all around. Defensively is going to be a question though. He is small, 6'2", with a 6'2" wingspan, so he doesn't really have a lot of size. So he's probably just going to get picked on defensively. And can he consistently create for himself, especially at the NBA level? If he can play make, that's cool. But can he consistently drive and get those attacks and get to the rim and stuff? I do think Tyler Kolek is a good pick for a team that just needs some more backup point guard play. A guy that can come in, get a few minutes as backup point guard, and make the team good. I think that's what he can really do. Kolek does. So, yeah, I think a playoff team or any other team, any team really that just needs some good point guard play, I think Kolek is your guy. At 28, we have Zach Edey, 7'4", 299-pound center out of Purdue. He is 22 years old. Edey, of course, been a big talk of this draft. He was amazing, amazing college basketball career, and now going to the NBA. It's very interesting to see how teams think of him and what he can do. I mean, inside scoring, I mean, he's 7'4", so he has great size with a 7'10" wingspan as well. Great inside score, so some solid touch as well, not just back down, back down, back down dunk. Also, a little bit of touch with hook shots and stuff. Passing ability has been very solid as well at Purdue, and of course, shot blocking. He can do that. So he can do all the good big man things. The big question is, can he adjust to a new role well? At Purdue, he was the guy. Everything was running towards him. And now, kind of the NBA, how well is he going to do being an off ball type of big? With the guy that's not really going to get his touches in the paint. All of his touches are really going to come off, lobs and, you know, duck in passes and stuff like that, running the floor. Which is also leads to my other question is, can he play a fast-paced style game in the NBA? At Purdue, they were more of a half-court, get to the post type team, and when they did run with other teams, Edie didn't look as comfortable out there or as good as he usually did. So now in the NBA, where it is a fast-paced style game, most likely you're going to go to a team that wants to run and wants you to rim run on transition and stuff like that. How well is he going to fit there? How well can he play as a fast paced style game? But, I think Edie, all the talking around him, I think Edie can find a solid path in the NBA with his size, his inside scoring, and his shot blocking. I mean, what team wouldn't want a 7'4" center? Can come in and just block a couple shots, get a couple dunks, get a couple rebounds. Now, as long as he can do that, as long as he can block shots and grab rebounds at a decent rate, he'll be fine. He'll find a way in the league. I definitely do think. Interesting to see. There's a report that came out yesterday that Portland is willing to take him very high at like 7, which I don't know if that's really a good option. But I'm very, very intrigued to see where Zach Edey goes and what team takes a chance on him. At 27, we have Terrence Shannon Jr., 6'6", 219-pound two guard at Illinois. He is 23 years old. A lot of veterans, a lot of vet guys late in the first round of my big board. All the guys have been upperclassmen. But Shannon, of course, he had that alleged case going on, but now I think that's kind of cleared up as of recently, so he should be good, hopefully. NBA ready body, 6 hour ready, NBA ready body, 6'6", 219, strong and athletic. He's great in transition as well. Get him in transition. He's a bullet. He can get to the rim with his strength, his size, also with his knack for drawing fouls as well. He can do that very good. He's a very solid shooter and playmaker as well. In Illinois, he kind of had the ball in his hands a lot, made a lot of plays for himself and for others. He also has kind of that high intensity, that kind of dog in him, especially the defensive end. He's not amazing defensively, but he has the competitiveness, which is a good thing to see. The question is, can he consistently play off ball? At Illinois, he was a guy that had the ball in his hands a whole lot and, made plays for himself and for others. Can he consistently be a off the ball shooter? And if the shot's out there, attack the rim. Can you do that? And really, the question for me that's going to be interesting is, how high is the ceiling? Is this kind of who he is? Is he just kind of this type of player, or is there maybe another level in the end that he hasn't unlocked yet that he can get to the NBA with more spacing and stuff that he can do? I think that might be a real possibility. Who knows? But I do think if this is his ceiling, I think it's a very solid player. It's a guy that, again, can shoot, can, not afraid with having the ball in his hands and making plays, and also getting out in transition and running, with that kind of competitive edge as well. At 26, Kevin McCullough, 6'5", 205-pound two guard out of Kansas. He is 23 years old. If you have watched any of my draft videos or anything talk about the draft, you know that I am a huge Kevin McCullough guy. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. Love some Kevin McCullough because he has amazing role player traits. He can be a Bruce Brown type of player for a team if he gets to the right situation and team knows how to use him. He can be a Bruce Brown type player. Great role player traits, high IQ guy. On the offensive end, he could do a little bit of everything. Well, even on both sides, he could do a little bit of everything. If you need the ball in his hands, he can do that. And he can make plays for others. He can attack the rim. If he not, he could be a good catch and shoot player. He could be a good, attacking a guy that can attack off closeouts and stuff. He could play any role you could put him in offensively. He can do it. You need him to be a spot up shooter, he can do that. You need him to be a ball handler, you can do that. You need him to attack, he could do that. You need him to be a connector, he could do that. He could do all different things. And defensively, he's really good as well. He's got good length, 6'5", with a 6'9" wingspan, really long arms. Again, knows where to be defensively. So he could do a little bit of everything, which is what some teams need, especially playoff teams that want to win. Some players need, so some teams need. Questions are, he's not elite at one thing. He's kind of like that saying and stuff where it's like really good. He's good at a lot of different things, but not great at one thing. That thing. So like he doesn't have one trait or one skill that's his go to. He just does a little bit of everything, which is a good and could be a negative in some aspects. And how real was his offensive year? Usually was a very solid offensive player throughout his college tenure, but then his last year at Kansas, he kind of exploded a little bit offensively. So is that offensive explosion? Was that just a random thing that happened, or is that a real? Because if that's real, then that can help him even more. You know, but I think Kevin McCullough's a guy that, again, he can be a Bruce Brown, a really impactful player to winning. And if the right team picks him up and puts him in place, he's going to be one of the most valuable role players in the league. I honestly do believe that. At 25, you have Keyshawn George, 6'7", 208-pound two guard out of Miami. He is 20 years old. George is a guy that didn't really wasn't really on the radar until kind of near the end of the college year and around the combine. He kind of just shot up draft boards with, draft people talking about him and videos coming out about him and stuff like that. Like he just kind of randomly shot out, draft boards. And George, he's a guy that you kind of see why when you watch him. He has really good size for what he can do. 6'7", two guards that can handle the ball like he can, with a 6'10" wingspan as well. So that's already intriguing. With his ball handling ability, his shooting ability, I love the form. He's a very confident shooter. He likes to create and you know, likes to create for himself on the 3-point line. I like that. He's also showing some playmaking ability, which could be another big thing if he could be kind of like not saying a point guard, but he could be a guy that could be a secondary playmaker as well as a ball handler and shooter at his size. And defensively, he's very solid. He's got the tools to be a good defender. Again, 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan. He's got the tools to be a good defender. So you could see why George is a guy that's intriguing to a lot of people. No, I mean, guys at big, big wings that can handle the ball and shoot, and that could be good defensively. Like, how many teams that's a mold that is very intriguing to a lot of people. That gets a lot of people, you know, eyes opening. And George fits that mold. Thing is, the questions, he could be better creating. Most of his creations came on the 3-point line and stuff. I'd like to see him be more creative with his creating in terms of more moves, more getting to the basket and stuff like that. And he might not be a guy that comes in right away and plays. Might not be a guy that's ready to come in right away from day one and be a rotational piece, because he is kind of a little bit raw and so young and kind of came on the scene very late. I do think though George is worth a late first round pick, and George can be a guy that if you develop him right, he can be a very very good player. He's got all the potential to do that. Again, 6'7" guy that can handle the ball, can shoot the ball, can be a good defender, and if that playmaking is real as well, he could be a guy that a lot of teams would love to have. At 24, you have Jalen Tyson, 6'6", 218-pound wing out of California. He is 21 years old. Tyson is a guy that the more and more I watch him, and do my draft processing, and more I see his film, the more and more I like. More and more I like. He also, I'm going to talk about him similar to Kevin McCullough, where he has great role player traits. Could be a guy that could come in and impact winning. He has that type of game. High motor and intensity. Something you like to see. He's got that energy, that dog, that kind of edge to him that I like. Really good ball handler and playmaker as well for being a 6'6" wing guy that's really good, comfortable handling the ball, really good and comfortable being a playmaker for himself and for others, which is really nice to see. Very solid everywhere else as well. Defensively, very very solid. Shooting wise, he can do that as well. Kind of similar, where he's a guy that if you whatever you ask him to do, he can do it. Defend a good player, he can do that. Be a ball handler and play make for his team, he can do that. Be a connector, he can do that. Be a shooter, he can do that. He's got all those things in his bag. Kind of similar to Kevin McCullough, where his questions is like he's not elite at one thing, but he's really good at all things. So he doesn't have really a go-to kind of skill, and he also doesn't really have the athleticism you would think he would have at being a 6'6" wing. With his game, he's not really athletic. I do think though He is a guy that, again, could come in and with the right situation, could come in right away and be a winning player, be a guy that can impact winning right away. And honestly, I could definitely see him be a guy that might go late in the first round, comes into the NBA rookie year and makes an impact and becomes like kind of similar to maybe what like Brandon Pajemski did a little bit. Well, Jaime Jaquez a little bit, where he's a guy that wasn't really known a whole lot during the draft, got picked, and was like, okay. Then he came in rookie year and kind of made an impact early. I think if he goes to the right team, Jalen Tyson could do that. At 23, you have Carlton Carrington, 6'4", 194-pound point guard out of Pittsburgh. He is 18 years old. Bub, they call him Bub Carrington, is a very intriguing prospect to me, personally, at least, which is why I have him maybe a little bit higher than maybe some people do. But he's been very intriguing to me. First of all, he's got good size, 6'4" point guard with a 6'8" wingspan, being 18 as well, one of the younger players in the draft. He's got that, already got size to him. And he's a bucket getter. That's his mold, bucket getter. Kind of Lou Williams as that type of mold of player. Mid range master. He loves to get in the mid range, step backs, side steps, all that stuff. Loves to get his bag in the mid range and get a bucket there. You know, he's also a very solid playmaker as well. He's not just a scorer. He's a guy that can also make plays for others, get into the rim and cut and kick out, or drive and kick type playmaking. Not even just that, but he's a really solid playmaker as well. He could be better, but he already has the playmaking. You know, yeah, he could be a very good playmaker as well as his scoring. The only thing is he's not really a 3-level scorer yet. He's not an amazing 3-point shooter yet. But I think that's something that definitely can be worked on, and he doesn't really attack the rim as much yet. Most of his buckets are mid range and floaters and stuff like that. So I think if he can get that 3-point shot going, then I think he could be a very, very good 6-man type player. I think he could be a guy that going in the right situation, he could be a bucket getter off the bench very early. Be a guy that could just pop and give you some buckets off the bench, but also maybe making plays for others as well. So I am very intrigued with Bub Carrington and his role, and very excited to see how he fits into the league. At 22, we have Tyler Smith, 6'9", 223-pound power forward from the G League Ignite. He is 19 years old. Tyler Smith, the first thing you watch him and see him play, the jump shot. He's a guy that can be a really good stretch four. He has a really nice jump shot for his size, a 6'9", lefty. Already that pops up right away when you watch him. He has the tendencies and the traits to maybe become a really, really good stretch big in the league. There's that. But he also doesn't mind getting to the post. If he has a smaller guy on him, he doesn't mind calling for the ball in the post and getting it that way. So it shows he's not really afraid to attack and get to the paint. He's not just a guy that's going to sit behind the 3-point line and shoot all day. Questions are a little bit, can he consistently attack the rim? When it wasn't really post-ups against guards, he wasn't really attacking the rim consistently in terms of scoring consistently and stuff. So if he could get better than that, that would be nice. Defensively, he could be a lot better. Of course, now when I talk about the G League Ignite and the defense, got to take it differently because the G League Ignite in general, their team defense is horrible. So I don't know if that's a reflection on the coaches or the players, all that stuff. But defensively, he can be a lot better. And kind of position questions a little bit. Like, what position is he? Most likely, he's probably going to be a 4. But then again, did he have the foot speed and defensively to keep up with other forwards? Then, in case, you have to put him at the 5. But does he have the kind of defensive rim protection and the rebounding and stuff and the tendencies to be a consistent 5? He also, I don't know if can he put him at the 3? Maybe you could see some minutes in. But again, does he have the defense to consistently be a 3? So it's kind of like interesting to see kind of what position he's going to play in the NBA. Is he going to be a stretch 4 or stretch 5? But we'll see what happens. Really, it's got to be, I think the defense brings on that many questions. And if he can be better defensively, I think he'd be good. But I do think Tyler Smith can be a really, really good stretch 4. And I think teams are going to be very intrigued with the shooting at his size. At 21, we have Yves Messi, 6'11", 229-pound center out of Baylor. He is 20 years old. Messi, for me personally, I think is a really safe pick, especially around this point in the draft. He's a very safe big man pick. very physical and athletic. That jumps off the page right when you see him play. Very physical, very athletic, 6'11". He's got the good speed and good athleticism and good length, 7'2" wingspan, for his size. He's a lob threat. Ran a lot of plays to get him lobs that Missy went up and got them. So he's got that. He's a really good finisher as well around the rim, not just on lobs, but he's a really good finisher around the rim in general, very efficient there, which is really good to see. And also defensively, he's really good. Guy that can shot blocking, really good defensive anchor at Baylor, and he has the tools and potential. You can see him down the line to become a really solid defensive anchor. So I think he's just a really safe pick. I think this is kind of what you're getting a modern day backup center, maybe even starting center. I think he could definitely be a starting center in the league. You're getting that kind of mold where if you don't have a Joel or Jokic or that type of big, you have a type of big where it's like, all right, set screens, rebound, catch lobs, block shots. That's what he does. If you have that type of center, especially a guy that can do that consistently, you're good. And I think Missy can be that. He can be a guy that can stick around the league for a very long time just from doing that. And he already has the traits and the tendencies to do that at Baylor. So I think I'm a big fan of a pick here with Missy in the mid to late first round as just a safe, big man pick. There are teams that need some center play. Go pick him up. Go pick him up, and he knows what he's gonna do. At 20, I have Khalil Ware, 7 foot, 230-pound center out of Indiana. He is 20 years old. Ware is very interesting as a prospect. First of all, he's got that pogo stip type game lob threat. 7 foot, kind of maybe a wiry 7 foot, but guy that's a lob threat. He has athleticism. You do that. Very solid shooter as well, which is what intrigues a lot of people. He's a very solid 3-point shooter. So that is very interesting. He's a very solid shot blocker as well. Pogo stick type body, 7 foot with a 7'4" wingspan. He can jump. He's very athletic as well. So he's got that going for him. So yeah, he's very interesting prospect to a lot of people. He's a guy that could have some pop factor as a center. Could be a little more than just like a catch lobs, block shots type big man. He could do a little bit more than that with his 3-point shooting. So questions though, there were some questions about his motor and his energy at Indiana, and another question I have is can he finish through contact? He's not a guy. He wasn't a guy that did well finishing through contact. As a big man, you're gonna experience contact on 99% of your, scoring opportunities. So as a guy that can consistently finish through contact on lobs and stuff like that. But I put Ware over Missy only by one spot, even though I think I like Missy more as an NBA ready prospect right now. I think Ware has a higher potential and can pop more, especially going to the right situation. He has potential to pop more with the 3-point shooting, with the putting the ball on the floor a little bit. Like he has that more of a pop potential, which is why I put Ware over Missy. But I personally do think Missy is a better NBA ready prospect right now than Ware is. So I'm very interested by Ware to see where he goes, where he goes, and what teams can use him and maybe unlock him more. I think he's a guy that definitely could be unlocked and could be a very interesting player in the NBA. At 19, we have Johnny Furphy, 6'8", 188-pound two guard out of Kansas. He is 19 years old. Furphy's another guy that didn't really pop onto the scene until a little bit later. And I think he's a very solid, interesting young prospect as well. The shooting comes out right away. Really good shooter. The Australian, by the way, wing, really good shooting year at Kansas. Plays very well off the ball in terms of catch and shoot, but also cutting. You know, you know, being off the ball, coming in for rebounds and stuff like that. Like he did really, really well off the ball at Kansas. He's also a lot more athletic than you expected. Guy that likes to go in transit. If you get him in transition, he can go up and get a highlight reel dunk on you. All right, like don't just because you look at him, don't think he can't dunk on you because he definitely will do that in transition. He's a very solid defender as well. I mean, 6'8", he's very solid defensively, even though he is small. He doesn't have a crazy wingspan or anything like that. He's a very solid defender. Definitely still raw though. Definitely still probably isn't a guy that comes in right away day one and plays. Definitely still needs a little bit more development with how young he is and his weight and stuff like that. But you see all the potential and the tools that he has there. Not a very good shot creator for himself yet, but if he could be a guy that could just be a good 3-point shooter and off the ball player, I think that could be good. And can he do really things with the ball in his hands? When the ball was in his hands, most likely he was going up as a shot or he was passing it out. So it's like, can he, with the ball in his hands, can he do much? Is he just going to be a strictly, catch and shoot, or cutter type guy? Or can he do a little more with the ball in his hands? I do think Furphy is worth, though, a mid first round pick. Just the potential is there, with the shooting ability, the athleticism, off ball play, and with how young he is at 19. Like, who knows? He has some potential to be a little bit more. So I think that's just a very intriguing thing for Furphy. At 18, we have Kyle Filipowski, 6'11", 230-pound big man out of Duke. He is 20 years old. Filipowski is a big that is has a very good skill set. Very good skill set. He's a very solid shooter. Very big. He can put the ball on the floor as well. Very solid ball handler for his size at 6'11". Really solid passer as well. I think he's a guy that definitely can benefit more from the NBA spacing. At Duke, it was kind of a bit cluttered. He kind of was more forced to be in the paint and back to the basket and stuff. But I think with the NBA, with the spacing and stuff, I think he could benefit a lot more from that and show really his full skill set as a guy that can, shoot the ball, put the ball on the floor, make good passes, be kind of maybe a little bit of a hub as a big man. So I think Filipowski in the NBA is going to really benefit. The question is, he's not really a good defender yet. Not a good defender yet. Which leads to my next one is he a 4 or 5? Because he can be a 4. He has the foot speed and the shooting ability to be a 4, but can he consistently guard on the perimeter other 4s? He could be a 5 as well. He's got the size to be a 5. It'll be very interesting to put him at the 5 with his spacing and with his ball handling. He could play kind of a 5-out type of offense. But again, can he protect the paint and rebound and do all the little big man tendencies as a 5? So he's definitely got that question of of a tweener. Like, is he a 4? Is he a 5? I don't know. I do think though, Filipowski again, he's going to benefit from the NBA spacing. I think he's very skilled as a big. So I think if a team can figure him out and use him right, he can be a very, very good player. At 17, we have Jacoby Walter, 6'5", 197-pound shooting guard out of Baylor. He is 19 years old. Walter, the shooting, jumps up right away. He's a very good shooter, loves to shoot that 3 ball, and a really good off-ball mover as well. Good off-ball movement around 3, even cutting as well. Really good off-the-ball shooting. So that really sticks out right away, especially in a league where, shooting is there. So I don't know, when I'm watching him, he kind of has like Buddy Hield type feel to me. That's just what I was thinking. Um, Questions are about his creation ability. He tried and showed a little bit of creation, but how real is that creating ability? Especially maybe getting to the paint stuff with his kind of thin frame at 6'5", 197. So that's very interesting. Can he be a little bit more and be a guy that can create for himself and not just a catch and shoot 3-point shooter? And the defense. He's not really a good defender yet, even though he does have the tools to be a defender. I mean, he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. So he does have the potential tools to be a solid defender. He just isn't that yet, but he also is still super young. So that's interesting. But I think a playoff team could really benefit from having him. I think he can really benefit as well from going to a already kind of playoff, maybe winning now type of team, where his role could be simple from the start, just shoot, catch a shoot. That's all you really need to do, and then in the background they can develop him a little bit more and more and more. So I think with the right situation, he can definitely be a guy that can every year get better, 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 and potentially be a really solid player. But I really like him already just as a 3-point shooter. At 16, we have Isaiah Collier, 6'3", 204-pound point guard at USC. He's 19 years old. Collier was a guy that was a potential number 1 overall pick prospect starting the year. He's one of the top high school guys, really hyped coming out of USC, and just didn't really have a good year at USC. USC in general didn't have a good year, but he did have a amazing year that you would expect to have. And he kind of has fallen down draft boards, but I still think he's a very good prospect. Loves to drive and finish, loves to get to the basket, loves to finish, especially with his body. He already has kind of an NBA ready body, 6'3", 204, very strong. He already got that kind of big NBA ready body with speed as well, which is very intriguing. With the strength and body he has, he's very, very fast. So that kind of mix of strength and speed is something you don't find that often, and it's something that's going to be very intriguing with, again, the way he loves to drive and finish attack the basket. He also is a really good playmaker as well. He did have some turnover problems at USC, but you could definitely see the playmaking is there. So he's got a lot of good, intriguing factors to him. Again, the questions, it was a very inconsistent year at USC. So can he bounce back from that? Not a good 3-point shooter yet. So he's definitely got to work on that. Not defensively, definitely a lot more to be desired on the defensive end. Definitely was a lot of times where he kind of just didn't really care on the defensive end. It kind of just was like, didn't really make the second effort or anything like that. Kind of was just like, he blew by me, okay. So that, and again, the turnover problems. So not an amazing year at USC. I do think Collier is definitely worth a first round pick, even a lottery pick. I think he could be a guy that can benefit from going to a team where he just doesn't really have a big role right away. He could just come in and be a playmaker and attacker. And then slowly, as it works up, he can get more and more involved. I definitely do think that will really work out for Collier because, again, he has very intriguing factors. I mean, the speed, the strength, the playmaking, the, the driving. Like, he's got a lot of intriguing things about him. It's just really about can teams use him the right way and can he really buy in? At 15, we have Tristan Da Silva, 6'9", 216-pound forward out of Colorado. He's 23 years old. Da Silva, one of my favorite guys in the draft as well. He has great role player traits, which I think you're seeing a pattern for me. What players that I like in this draft, but he has some great role player traits. He was a guy that I think early in the year was probably around the 20s, but now I kind of expect him to go mid first round, maybe lottery. I think I said it. I think about mock draft I did or something I did with the draft where he could be a guy that as the draft gets closer and closer, he can kind of shoot up and go higher than you think. And I think he's doing that right now, where he probably is going to be a mid first round pick, like right outside the lottery, if not in the lottery. I do think that he has really good role player traits. You know, he's a guy that again can do a little bit of everything. Very high IQ offensive player. You know, really good shooter as well. So he could be a guy that can consistently shoot the three ball. A good passer as well. Makes some really good reads. And again, has a high IQ offensively. He knows where to be. He knows when to attack, when to not. A really good playmaker and passer as well, especially if you're playing that four position. Um, so he's got really good things about him. Defensively, not great yet. He definitely can be a lot better defensively, you know. So that's got to be something to work on. Again, he also has that thing where he's not elite at one thing, but he's just really good at a lot of different things on the offensive end, and he's not very athletic. I But I really, really like Tristan Silva. I think a lot of teams are going to really like Tristan Silva, and I think whoever gets him is going to be in in for a good one because I think Tristan Silva is going to find a way to work out in the league. Is going to be a player for a really long time with the IQ he has, the shooting ability, the playmaking ability, and if he could become a solid defender, not great, but if he could just be a solid enough defender, I think he's going to be one of the better role players in the league. At 14, you have Jared McCain, 6'3", 203-pound guard out of Duke. He is 20 years old. McCain had a really good year at Duke. Obviously, very popular name as well with the social media and stuff like that. But McCain could ball. McCain is a baller. The shooting ability jumps out right away. Very, very good shooter. Really nice form. He had a great shooting year at Duke. He had a great tournament games as well at Duke. He's got that, again, he can shoot that three ball. Really good off the ball as well at Duke. Guy that really likes to get his catch and shoot opportunities and cut and stuff like that. But also can be a point guard as well. He's a guy that has the size to potentially, and the ball handling ability to potentially be a point guard as well. Maybe more as a secondary kind of point guard. He also high intensity motor. He's got that energy and that dog, which I really like to see. Defensively, he's very solid as well. Maybe not on ball, he's not a great defender, but as a team defender, he's good. So you got that with him as well. The questions are the creation, not very good, not a really good shot creator for himself. I do most of his shots were, off of other people and stuff like that. And the playmaking, how good is it? How he has some good moments and some not good moments at Duke. So really it's just like how real or how good is his playmaking ability gonna be is the big kind of question with him. But I think McCain could be a really, really, really good player with his shooting ability, his, play off ball and on ball, his intensity, his defense. Like I think McCain's gonna be can go to a team and make an impact right away, and be one of those all rookie type of guys. I definitely do believe that because of the way he plays. At 13, we have Devin Carter, 6'3", 193-pound point guard out of Providence. He is 22 years old. Carter's a guy that had a big year at Providence last year, jumped up very high, in the rankings. And he's got really good things about him. Defensively, he's there. He's there defensively. 6'3" with a 6'8" wingspan. He's got the energy, the motor, the intensity, the dog as well. Defensively, he's really, really good. He blocks a lot of shots as well for being 6'3". Gets a lot of blocks and steals and, just really, 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 really good defensively already. He plays a lot bigger than he is as well. Plays a lot bigger than 6. So he plays like a wing, kind of, even though he's only 6'3". Very solid shooter as well. Really good driving. Likes to get to the rim. Likes to attack the paint and stuff like that. So got that going for him. Really, the only thing is playmaking ability. Not really good yet, which is a big question as to what position he's going to be. Is he just going to be an off the ball two guard, or is he going to be a point guard? Is he going to be kind of like, yeah, like those guys that are like not good enough to be a point guard, but not big enough to be a two? So he's kind of like in that weird position of like a point shooting guard kind of thing. And all of his buckets are threes and layups. Or well, his main things are like threes and layups. That's his main thing. Not really a mid range or floor or anything like that. Mostly it's gonna be threes and layups. But hey, it's the NBA. They want that, so that's good. But so yeah, Devin Carter. I'm very intrigued to see how it fits out in the NBA. I mean, I think he'll be good enough just because again his defensive ability. The kind of energy he has, the motor, the activity he has. I think he's gonna be really competitive and find a way in the league. And really interested to see really how his offense kind of contributes and gets to the NBA. At 12, we have Tijan Salon. I think that's how you pronounce his name. 6'9", 217-pound small forward out of France, playing in France. He's 18 years old. He is one of the biggest questions in the draft. With it's like, how is he going to work on me? Um, First of all, before I get into it, he's going to be a drafting stash, very raw still. No way he's playing rookie year. Like no way he's going to come in right away and be a rookie. I think he's probably. I won't be surprised. He's probably drafting stash for another year or maybe even two. Who knows? He's still 18 years old, but he's definitely still raw there. But he has potential. The shooting ability is there, especially at 6'9", 217. He's already got a really good size. He also has a 7'1" wingspan. So he's got the body and size already at 18. That's very intriguing. He can shoot the ball pretty well. He's very good at shooting. Off the ball, he was very solid as well. Playing with team and stuff like that. We definitely know needs to develop. Defensively, he's got a lot of traits and tools to be a good defender. He's not there yet. Creating ability hasn't really shown a whole lot of that yet. But if he looks like he has potential to be a really good 3-and-D guy that, depending on how he develops, could be maybe a little bit more and have a high ceiling. Again, he's a very interesting prospect because he's got size, shooting, all the stuff like that, and a lot of tools and potential to be good. It's just about really, can he hit that? Can he do it? So yeah, he's definitely a drafted stash type of player. Very raw. We don't really know, how it's gonna work and how good he's gonna be yet. But I think he's worth a chance just because he has that kind of has very intriguing potential. At 11, we have Ron Holland, 6'7", 196-pound wing out of the G League Ignite. He's 18 years old. Holland was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the number one guy coming in this class coming out, and decided to go to G League Ignite and didn't have a great, amazing year. He had some injury problems. G League Ignite in general were just bad. But Holland has a very high ceiling. I think one of the highest ceilings in this class. I think the athleticism jumps out right away. Very athletic. Loves to get a transition and dunk. Fast. He's got the athleticism and the energy. Very high energy and motor and dog type of guy. Defensively, very good as well. He's got good length, 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan. He's got again the competitive edge and dog that and the athleticism, but he's gonna be a really, really good defender. He also likes to drive. He likes to get to the rim. Finishing, not amazing yet. He's decent at finishing, but he likes to drive and attack, which is a good thing. The shooting really is the big question. not a very good shooter yet. Doesn't have a bad form, and really, it's just gonna be about the shooting. Like, can teams develop him to be a good shooter? If he can, I think he has again. I think he has one of the highest ceilings in the draft. The athleticism, the defense, the mentality, the driving. If he could just be a good shooter, like he's got it. He definitely could be really good. And again, with being the number one guy coming out of his class, you assume that he's got a lot in the tank. You assume that he's going to be really, really good because usually he wins in the last number one guy in the class, not number one in the draft, but number one high school player type like that. Usually those guys work out, even if they do have off years in college. So I think Ron Holland is worth a shot. He's got a really, really high ceiling, I think, for me personally. And I think if development's the right way, he could be very, very good. We are now entering the top 10. Number 10, we have Cody Williams, 6'7", 178 pounds, small forward out of Colorado. He's 19 years old, the younger brother of J-Dub and Williams. I'm very excited for Cody Williams because I'm very excited to see how he fits in the NBA and how well he's going to play. Very efficient off-ball player. Was really efficient, off the ball, catch and shoot, driving, getting it one dribble, pull up, stuff like that. Very efficient in that way. He also has really good defensive tools. 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan is, I mean, great. Like who wouldn't want a player like that? So he has really good traits to be a really, really good defender as well. And I honestly do think he could be a very important winning player to a team. He's got the game to do that. Very efficient, doesn't do too much. Defensively, he could be good. He could be a really good, maybe third, maybe even second option, depending on how good he can get, how good the team is. I do believe he can do that. The jump shot is solid. It's not great yet. Definitely still needs a little bit of work, but he's very solid in shooting and creation ability. Doesn't really have that yet. Not really good creator yet. I think Cody Williams is going to be a really good winning player, though. He's a guy that's going to come in and contribute to winning, which is why I'm very intrigued. Because I think at the floor, at least, he's going to be a guy that can come in and just be a very solid player that contributes. And if he could be a lot more than that, which I think he can be, and he could be a lot more, I think he definitely has a lot of potential hiding there. I think he does have a lot of potential and a big ceiling hiding inside of him. So I'm very excited to see Cody Williams. At number 9, we have Dalton Knecht, 6'6", 212-pound small forward out of Tennessee. He is 23 years old. Had an amazing season last year at Tennessee. Took college basketball by storm. Daniel, probably you can make an argument he's the best player in college basketball last year. He was amazing, and now he's going to the draft. The shooting ability comes off right away. Really, really, really good shooter. One of the better shooters in the draft. He's got that stroke, that shot, and a very good off-ball player as well. Played very well off the ball in terms of catch and shoot, in terms of cutting, all that stuff. He played very, very well at Tennessee. I almost said Duke, Tennessee, and he knows his role. He's a guy that, again, 23 years old, is a veteran type player. He's been around a lot of different programs and stuff. Knows his role, knows what he's gonna do. A really, really good offensive player. Because not only is he gonna be a shooter, he's a really solid passer. Could be a connector type piece on the offensive end. Be solid at attacking the rim. So he's a really good offensive player. The defense, not there yet. He needs work. He has the frame though, 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan. He definitely needs some work defensively and playmaking. Not great. Again, he could be a connector type role offensively, but I don't think he's gonna be a guy with the ball in his hands. He's gonna, be a playmaker. I think Knecht is worth a pick, especially around the top 10 to maybe teams that want to win now. He could be a guy that can be a really good offensive player, connector offensively, can shoot the ball, can, make plays, and just knows what he knows. What you're going to get. You know what you're going to get from him, and he knows what he's going to do. So, Dalton Knecht, I'm very interested to see where he goes. At number 8, got Matas Buzelis, 6'9", 197-pound wing out of the G League Ignite. He's 19 years old. Buzelis was another guy that was a really high prospect. He was like number 1, number 2 guy coming out in this class. Went to the G League Ignite. And the Ignite in general, again, didn't have a good year. But Buzelis, I think, has a lot of potential. Potential for a really good two-way player. Very athletic, good athleticism. Off-ball scoring, he did that very well as well in the G League Ignite in terms of his, cutting and, getting it one dribble or get to the paint and stuff like that. And is a very good defender as well. Got a lot of good defensive traits. He's got good size and has a really good potential to be a really good defender in the league. The questions need to add strength. I think the strength was a big thing that was hindering him. In terms of not only just defensively but also offensively trying to attack the rim and stuff. He just needs to be more get more strength and more strong. But he's only 19, so of course that's gonna come. And the off 3 point shooting year. In high school and stuff, he was a really good 3 point shooter, and then at G League Ignite had a bad 3 point shooting year. So it's just about, was that a real jump shot, or was that just an off year, or was that just being with the G League Ignite and not being good? What was it? Was it that, or is the 3 point shot real? So the 3 point shot is real, like you expected it to be, then I think he has a lot of potential to be a really, really good two-way player in the league. If he gets stronger, I think he's gonna be really, really good. At number 7, we have Nikola Topic, 6'5", 203-pound point guard. Played in Serbia last year. He's 18 years old. Topic had some injury problems, injury concerns, which I don't know how much is going to tank his draft stock, but I do definitely think he's still worth a top pick. Playmaking, he's there. Really, really good playmaker, knows how to make the right read and stuff like that. Could be a really good pick and roll player as well, in terms of, because he likes to drive. He likes to drive and create for himself and for others. So I think the pick and roll, he can be very, very, very dangerous there. And yeah, he's a guy that, might not be a highlight reel type of player in terms of his scoring and stuff, but he gets the job done. He likes to create, or likes to drive to the rim and create, likes to get in the mid range as well. He could be decent there. So I think, yeah, again, pick and roll and stuff like that, he could have really high potential there. The questions, though, not a really good shooter yet. I think he has potential to be okay, but he's not really a good 3 point shooter yet. And scoring wise in general, he's not a really, really good scorer yet. But I think he could be solid there, and if he can get there, he's going to be really dangerous. And defensively, he's not really good there yet either. But he has the playmaking, he has the driving and attacking, and he has the pick and roll play. And the last question again, injury concerns. I think he has a partially torn ACL. I think that's what it is. So he might not be ready right away. I do think though Topic is still worth a pick, especially for teams that need some point guard play. Teams that need point guard play and can develop a point guard really well. I think Topic is your guy for that. At number 6, we have Rob Dillingham, 6'2", 164-pound guard out of Kentucky. He is 19 years old. Dillingham is a lot of people's fan favorites in this draft. He's one of mine as well. He's got that type of game. And I think he has a really high, pop factor. He could be a guy that could swing this draft. And he could be a really, really good player. Or he could be decent, but he also has potential to get to be a really good player and one of the better players in this draft class. You know, first at 6 out, highlight real type player, knows how to get a bucket. All 3 levels he can score, has moves, the creation, Jamal Crawford maybe esque type where he knows how to get a bucket. Step backs, driving, side steps, all that stuff, he could do it. He loves to do it. He could go get a bucket. But he also could play well off ball too. At Kentucky, he had a really good year in terms of catch and shoot, 3 point shooting. Like, he's not just a guy that just give me the ball and let me work for 10 seconds. He could play off the ball as well, which really intrigues me as well to see how he can pop in the NBA. You know, and the playmaking is not amazing, but he has tools and stuff to be a very solid playmaker. And I think if he can be solid, he can be solid. He can be good. The only thing questions is the defense, the size. He's 6'2", thin. He's going to be one of the smaller players. So, like, by default, teams are going to attack him eventually. But if he can just get stops when he needs to, I think Dillingham, again, I think he has the potential to be a big pop, like, could have a huge pop factor in this draft and can end up being one of the best players in the draft. Honestly, the right situation comes along and he can fit in. I think he could be one of the top players in this draft. I definitely do believe that, and I think he's someone that a lot of people are really waiting to see. How he gets to the league and how he goes. We're now in the top 5. Number 5, we have Donovan Clingan, 7'2", 282-pound center out of UConn. He is 20 years old. Clingan is a guy that shot up as the season's gone on. He just shot up draft boards, keeps shooting up draft boards, and now he might even be number 1, depending on how the Hawks are feeling. He might be the number 1 overall pick, which is kind of crazy to me, for other reasons. But yeah, Clingan, rim protector. He do that rim protector, the 7'2", the size, 7'6" wingspan. think he has the second highest wingspan behind Zach Edey, but he's got the size and the wingspan, to do that. A lob threat as well. He's got athleticism. He's not, a clunky 7'2", 282. He's that can move pretty well for his size. So he's got lob threat, good rim running, and screen setting as well. So he's got all those tools to be a really good modern day center with he can be a defensive anchor, really, really good defensive anchor, and a blob threat as well as a rim runner as well. Um, he's not really a good creator like in terms of giving the ball in the post. He's gonna work and do something crazy. He's not there yet, and maybe could be more aggressive some points. But I mean, Klingon is definitely worth a shot. He's going to be a really good center in the league with the athleticism, the lob threat, the defensive ability, and the 3-point shot. Maybe could be a thing. Maybe you see the jump shot. The jump shot is not bad at all. Like I think he's a guy that maybe could find some 3-point shooting in the league, and if he adds a 3-point shot to his game, he could be very, very dangerous. He can be. So yeah, Klingon definitely probably a top 5 player in this draft, just because I mean he's got a lot of potential to be a really, really, really good big man. At 4, we have Reed Shepard, 6'2", 182-pound guard out of Kentucky. He is 19 years old. Shepard has the traits of a very, very good role player. Derek White-esque. I'm talking. Top where he's got like elite role player, maybe even like really good, like could be not saying all star, but that Derek White impact to a game. Traits of an elite role player. Doesn't need the ball in his hands, but also with the ball in his hands, he can do stuff. Really, really good shooter. He had a really efficient shooting year at Kentucky last season. Guy that on the ball, he can be a guy that can make plays for others, and just knows how to make the right play. But off the ball as well, he can be a good shooter. He can be a connector offensively. Just does a little bit of everything on the offensive end. And defensively, not amazing defensively, but he gets a lot of steals. So he gets in the passing lanes and pickpockets people. So he can be a guy that can, do that in the defensive end. But overall defensively, he's not great because he is small, only 6'2" with a 6'3" wingspan. He's not a big guy. Not really a shot creator yet. He showed maybe a little bit of potential flash, but he's not really a good shot creator. Most likely in the NBA, he's probably not going to have to be asked to be a good shot creator. But I think Reece Shepard is a guy that honestly is one of those players that no matter where he goes, he's gonna find success, just because he has that game to him where any team could use a Reece Shepard. Shooting, connecting offensively, knows his role, doesn't need the ball in his hands, but also with the ball in his hands can be decent, competes. Like he's just a guy that anywhere he goes, I think he's gonna work out. At number 3, we have Stephon Castle, 6'6", 210-pound guard at UConn. He is 19 years old. Castle has one of the highest ceilings in the draft as well, and is someone that I think a lot of teams have fallen in love with throughout the tournament run and throughout the combine. All the stuff, teams have fallen in love with Stephon Castle. Now he's probably going to be a pretty high pick in the draft. Defensively, sticks out already. Already a really good defender with his NBA ready body, 6'6", 210. He also has a 6'9" wingspan. He has an NBA ready body. Already a really, really good defender. Has some really good moments defensively in the tournament run that they had. He also has the intensity, motor, and energy, you know, in the NBA. His athleticism is really, really good. Very athletic. Wing, guard. His cutting and finishing really stood out as well at UConn. I see it's more of an off-ball role, but he bought into his role and was really good at cutting, finishing, around the rim and stuff like that. The shooting is not there yet, but he has potential to be a good shooter. And the playmaking is a very good question as well, because he mostly was a point guard and stuff when he was in high school, but then at UConn, of course, he kind of was more of a wing and had to take that type of role. So the playmaking is a good question of like in the NBA, what position is he going to be? Is he going to be a point guard? Is he going to be a 2? Is he going to be a 3 potentially? Like what role does what the team that drafted him really find himself in? But I think with having the point guard kind of background experience, he can be a good playmaker. And again, I think he has really high potential. You can make an argument he has the highest ceiling maybe in the class with his defense, his athleticism, his playmaking ability. And if the shot comes around, he's gonna be really, really good. And I don't think it's crazy to say, yeah, he might have the highest ceiling in the draft. At number 2, we have Zachary Resache, 6'9", 194-pound small forward, played in France last year. He's 19 years old. Resache has, I don't know, when I watch him, I think of maybe like a Michael Porter Jr. type of role or type of player. But maybe he could be a little bit better. Uh, Good 3-point shooter. A 3-point shooting is there. Played very well without the ball as well on his team in France in terms of movement, cutting, and stuff like that. And transition. He loves to play in transition. He's really, 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 really good in transition. Getting to the basket, spotting up for threes and stuff like that. And also has the potential to be a good defender. You know, he is really thin right now. He doesn't have a crazy wingspan, but he has the potential and the capabilities to be a good defender. The questions again, he has to add strength. He's only 194. He's very, very thin, so he needs to add some strength and can't really create for himself very well yet. But I think Versace has a lot of good things, which is why he's one of the top players in the draft. Potentially could be he's probably going to be a top 3 pick in the draft. He's got the 3-point shooting, plays well without the ball. Defensively, he's got really good potential, and he's only 19. So he could be a guy that, could have a little bit more to his game that we don't know about yet. So I'm very excited for Zachary Versace to get to the league because I'm very interested to see what his ceiling is. I'm very interested to see how good he can be. And at number 1, we have Alex Sarr, 7 foot, 224-pound big, playing the NBL in France, Australia. I think last year he's 19 years old. Sarr, of course, probably is the number 1 player in this draft class. He's very versatile. On both ends, very versatile. Defensively, he's got all NBA, all defensive type of potential. With his length, 7 foot with a 7-foot wingspan, has his athleticism, the way he can move on the perimeter. He's got potential to be a guy that could guard well on the perimeter and protect the paint. He's got all defensive first team type of potential on that end. And then offensively, he's very solid, very solid off the ball. A lot of like duck-ins and stuff like that. He was good there. A lot of, lobs. He can do that as well. He's good athleticism for being a 7-footer with his size. So he's got the off ball stuff, the paint. He's very solid scoring there as well. The shooting ability is not great yet, but he shows some flashes and potential to be a really solid 3-point shooter. I think he's got like a Jaren Jackson Jr. esque Evan Mobley, that type of molded player, where he's a 4, maybe could be a 5. That's what question too. Is he a 4 or a 5, depending on how he develops, really? Because he's got the potential defensively to be like defensively. You would love to put him at the 5, but offensively, does he have the capability and stuff to be a 5? I don't really know, but I think he's got that type of potential where defensively he could be amazing, but offensively, if that jump shot is real, he could develop to be a solid 3-point shooter. I think he's going to be a very, very valuable player. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, and all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. I'm going to be doing my mock draft tomorrow, so stay tuned for my official mock draft for 2024. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.